Hey everyone, you're listening to Party Time, My Golf Story with Kevin Walsh and whatever special guest he has today. You can check me out on episode 9 of the podcast. Today I'm wearing Grayson clothes while I'm out practicing because I believe in look good, play good. And follow me on Instagram, Sophia Warren Golf, and hope you enjoy the rest of the show.
It's Party Time, My Golf Story, brought to you by Party Drinks. Classically designed golf drinks for golfers by golfers. And the golf real estate pros Gene Walsh and Vince Visicaro. For your Southwest Florida real estate needs, check them out at suncoastdreams.com. Now here's your host, Kevin Walsh.
Hey everyone, welcome to the program. We have another good guest for you today, Tara Joy-Connelly, who at one time was the number 2 ranked senior amateur player in the world. She's in the Massachusetts Golf Hall of Fame, Player of the Decade in Massachusetts, played on a winning Concession Cup team just recently, so we're going to get into that. I've played golf with Tara before. She is a fantastic golfer and has just played golf for so long and so successfully. I just think you're really going to enjoy a conversation with her, and not just the accomplishments that she's had, but her life in golf, where she's been, people she's met, some stories to tell. One that includes a story about Spider-Man interrupting the U.S. mid-amateur. But there's a backstory. I'm not going to give it all away. I'm going to let her have the word on that. So you're really going to enjoy Tara Joy-Connelly. And then later, next week, we're going to interview her husband, J.P. Connelly. Now, if the name sounds familiar, in the end, we'll have 3 Connellys on board. So I'm kind of starting a little golf rivalry. Remember, we had the 3 Riley golf professionals, Will Hugh and Michael Riley. So now we got the 3 Connellys. So we got a little Irish warfare in golf, competitive golf warfare going on, but all in the best of spirits. A couple of updates on things. First of all, the podcast is doing very well. We are now up to almost 6,000 subscribers, which when we started about a year ago, our goal was like, if we could get to 1,000, that'd be great. We've greatly exceeded that. And that's because of you. And that's because of the quality of our guests. These are people that you would love to play around a golf with, have a adult beverage with, hopefully a party after a round of golf, maybe during a round of golf. I don't know, whatever suits you. And so I appreciate that very much. And I'd also like to continue to ask for your help, because I'm not afraid to ask for help. I mean, if you need help, you ask me for help. I'll help you, because that's how we roll. Please continue to like the program, leave some comments. If you have questions about it, you can put those in the comments line, and share the podcast with somebody else. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do that. It makes a big difference to the accountants and the people that track all the different analytics, all the nerds at YouTube, Spotify, Apple, all the listening platforms. So thank you again for your support. And a big thanks to our title sponsor, Party Drinks. If you're looking for a drink alternative on the golf course, and beer's just not for you, if you feel fat after having a beer. I mean, I have a beer and I play golf. I feel like I can't swing. It takes away all the fluidity. Try a Party. Absolutely to die for. Transfusion are our number 1 seller. These are golf cocktails, signature cocktails for golfers by golfers, and that makes all the difference in the world. And if your dream is to live on a golf course or in a golf resort community, similar to Lakewood National Golf Club, where this podcast originates from, there's nobody better to help you out than the golf real estate pros of Vince Visicaro and Gene Walsh from suncoastdreams.com, a division of Fine Properties in the greater Sarasota area. Okay, so that's the housekeeping stuff. The star of the show is in the house, Tara Joy-Connelly. Tara, what's going on? It's been a long time. I'm happy to talk to you again.
It's great to see you again, Kevin. It's been a long time since we've seen you on the Sportsnet.
I know. The TV days are long gone.
We had a lot to cheer about back then.
Oh, my God. Well, let me tell you the backstory. So you and JP were in New England, And then I moved up there in 2009. I'll never forget one of the first cameramen that I talked to. He said, "Kid, it'll never be this good again," because it looked like the Patriots were on the decline from their absolute juggernaut years of the early 2000s. But you know what? It got better. It got better because of Tom Brady. I went to 4 Super Bowls, 3 Stanley Cup Finals, but you're old enough to know it wasn't always that way in Boston. There was a history. So when it got good in that long run, I mean, it was 2 decades plus. What was that like for you?
It was, I'll never forget. So 1999, the year JP and I got married, he was an assistant pro at Myopia Hunt Club. And we're living in this cabin in the woods on some members' property. And the Red Sox are finally having a moment. And people are just driving. We can hear Route 128. People are just driving down the road, honking their horn. And I'm like, you have no idea what you're seeing. You're seeing the end of the curse. It's amazing. Like this just started the boom and off everybody went, which was pretty awesome. I mean, thinking about in the last 25 years, what we've seen, the Pats, the Red Sox, the Bruins, the Celtics, it doesn't get any better than being from Boston then.
The city of champions, but you have the perspective that it wasn't always that way. You understand. I don't know that the rest of the world understands, and certainly anybody under the age of 25 certainly doesn't understand what it's all about. I mean, there's that kid that goes to all the championship parades, has that sign with all the logos. I remember he's like 12 years old, 10 world championships, and he's a cute kid. Nothing against the kid. But if that kid walked down Broad Street in Philadelphia with that sign, he'd be clotheslined like immediately, right?
Yeah, the days of the old Gillette, the old Sullivan Stadium that was such a dump. And I don't know, because it was before your time in Boston, but there used to be the show on Nesson that they'd play during the hockey season. You know, if there was no Sunday afternoon game called the Tucker Anthony Classic. It was a 3-hole thing that we filmed over the summer, obviously at the Ridge Club in Sandwich. And first time I was paired with Steve Grogan. He was about as good at golf as he was at quarterbacking the Patriots. And then the second time I was paired with Don Sweeney, I believe. One time I was paired with Jim Rice. He's a phenomenal individual, and still I pass him every now and again, and he's still a fantastic guy. He's awesome to bump into.
Jim Rice, Hall of Famer for the Red Sox, and Don Sweeney, the current general manager of the Boston Bruins.
Got to meet Bobby Orr, and Bobby Orr is as good as gold. I'm sure you've met him a bunch of times. I stood in line way back in his last book at a book signing in the Barnes & Nobles in Palm Beach Gardens. And like everyone else, I'm thinking, well, Bobby Orr doesn't remember me from this point. When I walked up and said, "Oh, Bobby, Tara Joy-Connelly, would you sign the books? One for my husband, one for my dad for Christmas." And he was like, "What are you doing standing in line? You should just come over to the side, Tara, for gosh sakes. We played some golf. You know better than that." No. Like, that's just who he is. He's awesome.
Oh, my God. That must have made your day.
Of all the millions of people he's ever met in his lifetime, to remember a couple of holes a couple of times, you know what I mean? Like, that's why he's such a phenomenal human being. He has the gift.
That says a lot about him, but that says a lot about you, because you have an impact on people, and your golf is terrific. Let's go back. And I want to talk about the scenery behind you at some time, because that's a really groovy room. All right. First of all, where are you joining us from? Where are you right now?
Middleborough, Massachusetts. That's where we currently reside.
Okay. Where'd you grow up, and when did golf enter the picture?
I grew up in Duxbury, Massachusetts, which is about 50 minutes from here, over on the South Shore. Grew up there. My dad was with Gillette, and we got sent to Puerto Rico. We were supposed to be there 2 years, but we were only there a year because he was the only one that knew Spanish. So we came back, and while we were there for that year, though, my parents took up golf. And I think I was 4 or 5, so I enjoyed the pool and swimming every day, going to the beach. And I'd say I took up golf. They continued to play. They had a ball. We were members at Marshfield Country Club, and I would have a club in my hand, but never anything to write home about. It would be, come on, let's go play a few holes and then get dinner. And, I think I was 13. I couldn't go to summer camp anymore. That was like you had to turn into a counselor or whatever. And I thought, well, I'll try this golf thing. And it kind of stuck because we lived by the 10th green, 11th tee at Marshfield Country Club. So I could just walk down the street and take my clubs. And at that time, there was no range yet. So you'd have to shag your balls late in the day, hitting down 10 or 11. And there were a couple others that liked to hit balls. So we had to wait for our turn. It was a nice way to grow up. That's for sure.
Oh, that sounds delightful. So you could walk out after dinner and roll some putts on the 10th green?
You could. A lot of times you would see the longtime superintendent there, Mello Kelly. The greens were his thing. He kept beautiful greens, and I was a horrendous putter as a starting out, and he kept the greens so fast. So that was a great way to be introduced to the game, to be hanging around the superintendent. His daughter was a great player. His sons both played. One got a tour card at one point. So they were neat people to grow up around.
Well, it didn't take long for you to catch the bug and really go all in. Why don't you tell the story? Like when did it stick and you're like, hey, I may have something here?
I think it stuck right away. I think my personality is a little bit stubborn. I think my first round of golf, 18 holes, I might have shot 128. And I think by the end of the summer, I was maybe shooting around 88. It was like my frustration kept bringing me back like everyone else. You could always do better. And I think I'm still that way today. It's, you always evaluate every round. Well, I could have done this better or that better. And I'm not really a tinkerer. I've stuck to the same thing all the time, trying to improve, but it could always be better.
So I think this is becoming for some people, this is their favorite part of the podcast. I don't know if that means I'm about to be unhosted as the host of the podcast, but I'm happy to have you here. It's Gene Walsh from suncoastdreams.com. How we doing, honey?
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Don't worry, your job is secure.
Okay, you do the real estate, I'll do the broadcasting part of it. So give me an update on the market. I know you had a pretty wild weekend, I mean, in the best of ways, with a lot of traction. Tell me.
Yes, open houses are picking up. We had 2 in the neighborhood, and one in particular had over 30 people come through. The second one had about 8 different groups.
Okay, so that's a lot, and within that group, there's probably a couple of buyers, so that's a good thing. First house is on Cessna. Tell me about it.
Yes, it's a lovely 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath with a pool and a spa. On the Commander course, 17th hole, beautiful golf course view.
And this was one of the original neighborhoods. I think this was the first street that was built out, like right by the gate. And the other one is?
The other one is on Cheech Glen, 5713. It's a beautiful 2-story home.
And that's on the 6th hole of the Piper course. So really good there. And anything else going on?
Well, we have, aside from those 2 homes, there are 9 other homes for sale in the neighborhood. So there's something for everyone.
Not just at Lakewood National, but across the street at Colusa Country Club.
Yes, Colusa Country Club is a new development. There's nothing built yet, so it's very much at the beginning stage.
Okay. And Lakewood National's all built out and good stuff. Any rentals going on? Because I know some people are not ready to pull the trigger. Maybe that's down the road, but this is kind of like a way to test the waters. And also with the rentals, you get the membership for the golf.
Yes, there is a transfer to the membership, which is really great. I have 2 rentals right now, one that has availability for January. It's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, great golf course view, wonderful location right next to the practice facility and the amenities. And then the second one is a coach home, January and February available. And it's a larger home, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2.5 car garage. Gorgeous.
Tara Joy-Connelly is our guest here on Party Time, brought to you by Party Drinks and the Golf Real Estate Pros of Gene Walsh and Vince Vizzacaro. She is a hell of a player. One time the number 2 ranked senior woman amateur in the world, currently ranked 14th or 13th?
14th.
14th. Okay. Really good stuff. Let's talk about some barriers. So you mentioned how quickly you broke 90. Do you remember breaking 80 for the first time and then maybe 70?
I don't. I don't know why. I guess probably because I expected it, because I worked hard at it. But I remember there became a time that it was kind of like, oh, you're getting pretty good at this. You maybe will go do this in college. And so we didn't know anything about the college process or recruiting. And certainly back then, I don't know how many college programs there were in the late 80s, early 90s, but there were really few in New England. So it was like, how do we do this? And where do we go? And at the time, I went to Notre Dame Academy in Hingham. And they weren't so interested in me going to like the Baptist College of Charleston or anything like that. They were really focused on BC, Catholic University, the standard Catholic schools. So we had Villanova. We had a little difference of opinion on what was going to happen.
Trying to get Catholics, trying to keep Catholics in the tribe. Just wow, what a surprise. But what was the junior golf scene like? We've had past guests on, Tracy Welsh. We'll bring her name up. I'm sure you had a few tangles with her, but how did you get, obviously playing good golf, but where were you playing this good golf that places like South Carolina and then later Miami would notice you?
So there was a very limited junior golf scene. And again, not my parents really not knowing anything about it and me not knowing anything about it. It was one of those things that I kind of fell into it. There was a state junior tournament. I played that, won that. And I played against Tracy one time. The Ponkapog used to have the New England Junior Open and the Catholic Youth Organization tournament. So I played Tracy one of the times there. And she might have said, oh, there's this American Junior Golf Association. And I think because I won the state junior or something, they offered me a spot. I mean, we were just totally out of our element, but off we went. And as the golf programs were growing, more and more exposure to those tournaments for a year. I think I played maybe 4 or 5, maybe qualified for the PGA Junior Championship. And just getting a little bit of exposure, I had some coaches take a look at me and, of course, I wanted to go to Florida State. That was the only thing I knew of, or Rollins. And my dad was kind of interested in the University of Nebraska. That letter came from them. And then the University of Hawaii came, and I was like, I'm going to be a Wahine. This is going to be incredible. And so we finally ended up settling. I took a visit to South Carolina, and I really liked it in Columbia and liked the coach. The coach, unfortunately, that I signed under ended up losing her job or moving on. And so I played there for 2 years and then ended up transferring to the University of Miami, which was awesome. It was the heyday of football down there. And
no, you were a part of that?
Yeah, it was awesome.
Can you explain the cane thing? I've heard you can't explain it to anybody. It's probably like Philadelphia. You can't explain it to somebody that's not a native, but I mean, who are we talking? Who was the quarterback back then? Did you guys win a national championship when you were there?
We did. We had 34 straight home wins, I believe, which set a record. And Butch Davis, I have a football in the case from Butch Davis. He was the coach then. It was just awesome. I mean, it was awesome. Like, I don't know how many times I'd be going into the athletic center and the assistant AD would stop me and say, hey, Tara, there's a Ferrari down the corner. Can you go get that license plate for me? And I'd walk down and I'd come back and read it to him. And he'd say, I told Drew Rosenhaus, he can't come here every afternoon. He has to move on. And I'm like, who's Drew Rosenhaus? I'm just a golfer looking for some shoes and, maybe a pair of sneakers. So, but we did have great fun. Our coach, Leela Cannon, she was there, I think 32 years before she retired. She was from Connecticut originally. She took us, my junior year, we played in Mexico, we played in Hawaii, and we played in Monterey, California. I mean, there was no limit to the budget. Times were good at Miami.
Well, I know the football players were absolute celebrities. Was there any celebrity status with the women's golf team?
Yeah, no, there was no celebrity status. But I did have classes with like Edrin James. He played in the NFL, and The Rock. I had communications class with The Rock.
Okay. Stop. Back it up. Dwayne Johnson. What was that like? I mean, did you know he would become the star that he was? If not in football, then in pro wrestling. Was there something about him, or this is a total surprise?
So have to admit, I got all the difficult classes out of the way early. So my last year, I had like communications 101. So I did or did not always attend. I left art till the very end. I almost didn't graduate for not passing art. The charcoal pencils got all over my uniforms and I couldn't take it. But communications 101, I go to the first one to get the syllabus or whatever. And we all have to be assigned a time to get up and speak. And you see The Rock come into the classroom and, you know, he's a football player. And he may have been on his 6th year at that point because he was injured a few times. And he's trying to fold himself into this little desk. And I think I don't know why I happened to be in class the time that he spoke. And, you know, everyone's kind of like, oh, great, big dumb football player about to get up and speak. And it just blew you away. And you knew he was destined for a life of doing whatever he wanted.
Wow.
Yeah.
He just had it. He had the X factor, the star factor. It was all there.
Yep. It's absolutely has always been there. And good for him, right?
You know what's interesting about him is he spent time, because his father and his uncles were professional wrestlers. He spent time growing up in the Poconos of Pennsylvania, but also Hawaii. Mm-hmm. And I know people that went to high school with him, and they said he was just a great guy. He had time for people.
Normal, great guy. A lot of personality, quick with a smile. Like how you see him is how he is. Like
it's amazing. You put a microphone in his hands and it's lights out. If you smell what the Rock, finish the line.
I don't know.
Is cooking. You're not watching enough pro wrestling. He is so good. Oh, what a gift! I didn't know that. How did I not know that?
Yeah.
So you had a good college career, and did you turn pro? I mean, was there a dream of more than amateur golf at some point?
So coach offered me a graduate year. I had half a semester when I transferred, you'd lose some credits. And so I had half a semester and she said, would you stay on and coach? And maybe you'd like to go to law school or get an MBA. And I kind of said, coach, I think I might try pro golf. If I don't try it now, I'm never doing it. And I think that broke my father's heart when I could have gotten a law degree and done something else. But, I said, I think I'm going to try this pro thing. And I did the coaching thing for a year and a half, which I enjoyed. It was fun. And then I played a little amateur golf. And then I went out. It was the Futures Tour. I tried the Futures Tour. It left a lot to write home about. I think I finished 5th in a tournament and I think I won $500. I didn't win my money back, like my entry, never mind my expenses. And this is the early days of that basically too. So, that was quickly not a good avenue. And I had met JP as I started that. And, he's a pretty great guy. So I thought, well, I don't know how this is going to work out, traveling around the country and doing this golf thing, and he's going to work every day. So, and I knew, like you said, his dad being a pro and him going down the same path. I'm like, I don't think I really want to do that club pro stuff too much because that'd be far too many in one business. So, I decided that wasn't my avenue either.
Did you ever, so the Futures Tour, it wasn't your thing. Did you ever fall out of love with golf? Did you hate it? Because that seems like a common theme with a lot of competitive golfers. I'll speak for myself. I hated golf at times, but you fall back in love with it. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but what was it like?
That's exactly it. I'll never forget my friend Martha Leach. She played on the Concession Cup with me. She won one of maybe the Mid-Am in 2009, and her sister is in the World Golf Hall of Fame, 2-time U.S. Open champion. So a USGA title was really something she coveted. And when she won the next year, she got up to give the champion speech, and she started with, I've fallen in and out of love with the game of golf so many times, I can't even count it. And it is something since that moment that really has rung true with me. There's times when I thought I was going to go to tour school, JP was at his PGA school and I was, there practicing for tour school. And I started just going to the pool. And he said, are you going to go practice today? No, I don't think I am. I don't love it right now. And the next day he was going off to his classes and he said, you going to go practice today? And I said, no, and I'm not going to tour school either. And there were times I remember one time being at Huntington Valley when we were in Philadelphia that I was playing so poorly and just didn't love it that I just walked off the course. That happens. I try to look at 2022. I had rotator cuff surgery, and I try to look at it like, well, maybe it was one of the years that I just wasn't going to love it. So a year off never hurt anybody, but it isn't the easiest thing to come back from. But you go in and out of love with it. That it almost, when you have forced time off with an injury or whatever else is going on in life, you think to yourself, boy, I really miss that. And it kind of puts it in perspective.
Well, it just sounds like it's a big part of who you are. It's in your blood. You need it, but sometimes you got to leave something, and so you can miss it and fall in love with it again. Or in your case, injuries will take you away from it. How's your game right now? How many shots are you giving me?
Well, I'd have to come down there first because the clubs are hung up for a while now. I sell for Donald Ross and Golf Teeny Sportswear. So the selling season we're working right now is for next spring. And it's been, with the long fall here, it's tough to get a hold of the pros as much as you would think. So it's extending now. But I thought I would really be busy starting mid-August. And I was able to kind of keep practicing once, twice a week. And then as the season went on and through the fall run, got a little tighter starting in October. So I think I played from the U.S. Senior Am in Seattle the third week of September. I think I played twice until the Concession Cup. And honestly, I was ready for a break this year. I knew kind of going into it, that's kind of how I roll when I have something else to focus on, like my job or, anything else we have going on, that I end up playing better. I don't have time to practice. And when I show up, I can just focus on golf rather than the time that I've put into the golf. And it just seems to be good. So right now I'd say I'm playing good, but I'm not playing. So who could know? Yeah.
Well, how many shots are you giving me? I mean, are you dodging that question? What's going on here?
You don't want shots from a girl.
Oh, that hurt. No. I need shots. Listen, I'm not too proud to admit it. I'm a 3.8 right now. So what's your number?
A +2, I think.
Okay, so about 5. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a deal. Okay, there. That's just math. We can figure out the T's part, but somehow I'm getting strokes. I mean, or I'm not playing. All right. I mean, so you mentioned JP. How did this come about? The relationship and the marriage, and what does golf have to do with it, other than everything?
So JP went to Florida Southern, and I graduated Miami, and we, obviously we didn't know each other, but both of us knew we did not want to live in the North again as long as possible. So we both took jobs at Hawks Nest Golf Club in Vero Beach, which is where we met. And I was the only female working with a bunch of guys there. And all good players, and everyone had that passion. Everyone thought they were going to be, number one pro, the whole deal. And so we'd go play, for money or bragging rights after work. And I always played JP for ice cream. I'm lactose intolerant, but I knew he was kind of a great guy and thought I liked him. So the other ones I would play for money, and I would write their name on the money and put it up next to the work schedule so everyone else would know what happened. But JP, I just played.
Dang, that is harsh, man. That's a great dig, though. A good move. Keep going. Sorry.
You don't even need to say anything about it, right? Your name just goes up on the money. But it was like JP won all the time because I would invite him over for ice cream. I just always happened to have ice cream because I won, and I didn't even eat ice cream. I can't eat ice cream. So.
Tell me something. Can you play a round of golf without grinding out a score? Can you just play just to be outside and the joy of it?
Once in a while. It isn't something I enjoy all the time because, like anybody else, I get frustrated if I don't hit it good or whatever. But I can always enjoy the company I'm with. I find people interesting, fascinating, different. The people I've met through golf has been awesome. So, I don't mind a casual round of golf. I'm not like a blinders on kind of person. You never know who you're going to run into.
Oh, that's for sure. Especially at different places. Like everybody ends up at certain resorts at some point. Golf. I like to say golf shrinks. The world is small. Golf shrinks it, and certain places double shrink it. And it's just like, oh my gosh, that's somebody, I know them from over there, because of course they're going to come through there. It's just the timing in which it happens. Can we go back to Tracy Welsh?
Sure.
Were you guys rivals back in the day?
I guess as much as you could be rivals, there just wasn't that much to play in, that much that was organized at the time for young women and junior golfers. It just wasn't that developed back then. So she was 2 years older than me. So I'd say when I took it up, she was had just left junior golf, and then she was off, when I played some amateur golf. A lot of times, I think, I don't know if she got her law degree first or whatever. She had a lot of school, her MBA that she did. So we weren't always competing against each other, but of course we knew each other. It still happens all the time now at different tournaments. We did last year. We hadn't played together in years, but we were paired together at the New England Senior Women's Amateur. And we laughed. We said, oh my God, we started in the juniors. We played as regular amateurs. And now here we are, the seniors. Her kids are in college. It seems hard to believe because, of course, nobody sees themselves that old. So here we are, still at it.
Still at it. Do you think ultimately you knew who one and the other were, because you were probably 1 and 2 in the state? So if it's not a rivalry, or it's a friendship, clearly, but did she help you become a better golfer? And do you think the same is true in reverse?
Absolutely. I mean, we both knew she was just that little bit of age different, but we both knew that the other was one of the best players in the state, and knew, anytime any competitor looks at a roster, whether it's baseball, football, basketball, any sport, you look down and go, these are the ones I have to look out for, or, these are the best players on the squad. Same thing happens with golf. You get the tee sheet, you're like, ooh, who's playing? And then, oh, yeah, they could win, so it's always there. And it's nice to see that she's still competing, I'm still competing. People come and go from the game, but here, very, very few people our age are still doing it after all these years. So I think it's a great thing.
It is a great thing. And that is true. And good players just know who the good players are around them, like through osmosis, or like playing with, who they are and what you got to do. So that's good stuff. So your father-in-law is a pretty good player. Jack Connelly, a multiple-time Philadelphia PGA Player of the Year, past president of the PGA of America. Any good golf stories with Jack Connelly?
We've only played 9 once, and maybe we back in the day in Hawaii, we went on a PGA junket with him, and then I think we played a few holes in Vero one time. He came to town with his friends. But we just haven't played that much together because, of course, when we lived in Philly, he was off, doing his work with the PGA, and, then we've moved around some. So we just haven't had the opportunity very much. We don't, even though golf is the Conley life, we kind of don't really talk that much about golf or do golf. I mean, it's been eons since JP and I took clubs on a golf vacation. It's been eons since we've done that. All the vacations have turned into hiking in national parks, or we actually took 4 days at the beach in Dominican last year. So yeah, it's something we do, but it's most of our lives. So we try to do other things.
I got you. Sometimes you need a break from it. It's just like people that own restaurants. The last thing they want to do is cook at home. They go out to eat all the time.
Exactly.
Because that's what they do. Tell me about the concession club, or the concession cup.
So I'm going to rewind it back a little more to the Amateur Golf Alliance, if you don't mind. So I ended up, there's a series of tournaments in January, the women's old Citrus circuit. Harder Hall is in the middle of the state, Sebring, and it's now turned into the Citrus Bowl Classic or something. Used to be the first week of January. So, that isn't exactly the warmest part of the state, and the weather can be pretty nasty out there, and you literally are on these giant lakes, and there's a fog, or, it's a lot of times it's 38 degrees and there's frost in the middle of Florida at that time of the year. So we're out there getting ready. I'm ready to go off on the first round, and the people I'm splitting a condo with are in the senior division, and so they're in their jammies. I'm going out the door. They're like, "We'll see you later. We don't tee off till 10:30 and 11. It'll be warmer when we start." And I had to play in the sleet and the freezing rain. And I had decided by the fifth hole, I was WDing at the turn if they didn't stop this nonsense. Because it was not golf. I wouldn't have been up north playing in that weather. What am I doing in the middle of Florida? I'm going home. So they ended up canceling that round finally. I think I was on 9 and we finally got word that it was canceled. And I got back to this condo that really the heat didn't keep up. And I asked them, it might be 10 o'clock in the morning. They're laughing. I'm drenched. My stuff is all wet and I'm freezing. And I say, all right, who has the vodka? And one of the girls says, I do. And I said, well, I'm going to the shower and I might be in there until we run out of hot water. And I'm going cold from the inside out and the outside in. And I'm going to go get warm and I'm going to come back out. So I come out and they're like, how'd it go? I said, well, I'm still cold, but what are we doing here? The kids don't want to play with us, and we don't want to play with the kids at these points. And I said, your husband's a pilot. He could fly us anywhere. And we could get 12 people together and go to the Caribbean and play a little mini golf tournament, throw in money. I said, that's it. The men did this for themselves a long time ago. I'm starting a tournament. And they're, oh, yeah. I said, no. I'm starting a tournament. It's going to be at nice high-end places, and we're going to have fantastic fields. And that's it. I'm starting this. The men did this years ago. They have a series of invitationals and tournaments around the countries, from Pine Valley to Seminole to, LA Country Club. I said, one of us just has to do it. And I've had it with this. I'm doing it. So that night at dinner, I said to Martha Leach and her husband, this is what I'm doing. And they went, uh-huh. So I needed email addresses and, things the USGA to provide. But of course they had, privacy laws or whatever. So I had been calling on Bob Ford down there for work, and I sent him an email, and he had just won the Joe Day Award. And I said, well, Mr. La-di-da, I said, maybe you can help me with some email addresses from the USGA. I'm trying to start a women's tournament for mid-ams and seniors. And, this is what I'm running into a roadblock. And he said, I'll do you one better. Why don't you come to breakfast on Wednesday morning at 7:30 at the Hurricane Cafe with Alan Fidel and I. I think he's interested in doing the same things you are. So
explain who Alan Fidel is. I know him. I've talked to him, but why don't you talk about who he is, the bigger picture in golf? So
Alan is a legendary amateur. I think he's in the Ohio Golf Hall of Fame. Mm-hmm. Mr. Ohio Golf for sure. Definitely a huge promoter and supporter of mid-am and senior golf. Very instrumental in getting some of those invitationals and tournaments off the ground for men years ago. And of course, I knew who Alan was. He didn't know who I was. I knew his involvement with the Concession Cup and the Amateur Golf Alliance. So I was like, I'm in. I'm coming to breakfast. So I walked in, and of course, Bob was late, but I knew who Alan was. And I went over and I introduced myself and I said, Alan, I'm Tara Joy-Connelly. I'm looking forward to speaking with you. And he says, the woman of my dreams. I've been waiting for you all my life. So he says, I think we have similar goals in mind. And so we sat down and we had breakfast and we hit it off. And I knew that I was joining forces with the right person. So we started the women's championship. He said, look, we'll get the courses, and, if you can help with that, that's great. If you can fundraise some money for the tournament, that's great. So we started a women's championship, a mid-amateur stroke play, or 54-hole stroke play for women mid-amateurs and seniors. We capped the field at 72. The first year, it did not get off the ground. We just didn't get the field enough to run it. And year 2, it actually got off the ground. We ended up we had Lob Lolly, but then when COVID hit in 2020, it was supposed to be in May. Obviously, they shut down, and we ended up getting a great first sight in the Dye Preserve in Jupiter. So off we went to the races. In the fall, we had 50 women turn out for our initial tournament, which was awesome in spite of all the COVID hysteria and the hysteria about Florida. People traveled from Portland, Oregon. People traveled from all over the country. And, we were off to the races at that point. By year 2, we were at Forest Creek in Pinehurst, which was awesome. And that really set the bar kind of high. What a golf course there. What a facility. And, we've been full ever since, which is fantastic. The enthusiasm for it, this was year 5, led to, by year 2, we knew we were doing it. We just couldn't pull it off so fast to start the women's division of the Concession Cup.
So you were a builder. Like, it took a lot of steps, and ultimately you got to the pinnacle. So you were a pioneer because you saw a need for women of a certain age to have something that the men have had all along.
Absolutely.
And you got it, right?
Absolutely. The Southern dipped into the mid-am pool a little bit. They've since decided to not go forward with their mid-am championship. It spawned the Trans National Women's Golf Association, now the Ladies National Golf Association, turning their women's senior four ball into a stroke play event for mid-ams and seniors. Trying to think, there's a couple other mid-am events that have come up. Like I said, I knew it just took one of something special to get it going. So I have been proud to work with the Amateur Golf Alliance on that and Era Sports. Alan certainly has been a driving force. He's done great things for the game, and I'm happy to go along with him and do that.
He's a good guy to know, as is Bob Ford, who is a longtime pro at Seminole and Oakmont. And so what were the results? Tell me about the competition.
Oh, it was so great. It was, inaugural one. We had a point system we developed in January when we decided that we were going to be a go with this. During the first major of the year, we had this meeting, and Rob Addington, who runs the events with the Era Sport for us, the Women's Championship and the Concession Cup, he said, look, I've got the World Amateur rankings here and the rankings of the tournaments, and this one you guys are at this week, this is like the second ranked amateur tournament for seniors in the country, and we should include that. And he had a lot of the information. He knew where he wanted to go with it. He's been part of the development of the Elite Amateur Series for younger men and women. And he ran the Texas Golf Association for a long time. So it was one of those things that he knew where he wanted to guide us, and we said yay or nay. And so we had this point system that created enthusiasm with different tournaments around the country. Carol Semple Thompson, legendary golfer, World Hall of Famer, just awesome individual. She was our first captain. We were a little concerned, was Europe going to be able to pull it off? At the mid-am, I'm not sure many of them knew about it. And by the senior am, one of the gals I played a practice with, Jackie Foster from England, we got paired in this practice round. I said, Jackie, have you heard anything about this Concession Cup? And she said, I just got an email 2 days ago. Do you know what it is? And should I make time to do it? And so at lunch, we went through it, and I said, oh, please, and get all the other great players. So we really had, if you looked at the World Amateur rankings, we really had a top layer of who's who in those rankings right now from both the US and Europe. It was an awesome way to kick it off. We were at the landings in Savannah. We played the Marsh course, which some of us had played a USGA state team on back in the day. They were thrilled to have us. It was so exciting. Other than day 2 got rained out. It was so rainy. There was a little tropical depression going through, and the flu bug also went around, the 24-hour.
Oh my gosh. So that was a grind to get it all in and get it done, but you won, which had to be thrilling. How was the party?
The party, I think, was great. I didn't partake so much in the party because I did get the flu bug day 2. Carol Semple Thompson got the flu bug. Kimberly Dinn got the flu bug, although she may have partied. Evan Beck, that poor fella, he missed day 2, and he was really out. Day 1, he should have been out. So it went around. A lot of the Europeans, I felt awful for them to come all that way. The women's team, one of the teams had to withdraw during the foursomes because one of the players just couldn't play anymore. She was so sick. So that was the only low light of the event. And in the end, there were friendships made. There were concessions made, and that's the way it should be.
Yeah, that's cool. And all that suffering, even though it sucks while it's going on, it just burns the memories in that much. You'll never forget it for like all the great reasons and just the bad stuff. Tara, we're getting a little tight on time. What's the Spider-Man story?
Oh, Spider-Man. So the 2023 USGA Mid-Am the women's Mid-Am was down at Stonewall outside of Philadelphia. And I think it happened maybe Tuesday. I drove down on Wednesday. Tuesday, maybe the news reports went about this fella like shimmying his way out of prison. He basically was like Spider-Man and climbed up both the walls and ended up breaking out of prison.
Well, who was this guy? This was a bad guy.
Yeah, I think he was convicted of murdering his girlfriend or something. So it's on the national news, and I kind of joked and said to JP, like, "Oh, you think they'll catch the Spider-Man?" I mean, he ends up getting a hold of a van and the beautiful fields and farmhouses, some of them inhabited, some abandoned around the golf course. He ends up taking refuge in these fields for like days, and the state police are tracking him and the FBI, and this all-out search is on, and the helicopters are hovering over the course. It went on for 2 days, and they finally caught him adjacent to the golf course. But we were getting text messages to the field from the USGA. Please allow extra time in the event the road closures. They didn't really want us talking about it at the time, but it was kind of something we're probably likely never to encounter again.
Probably not, and probably a little bit of a distraction as you're trying to play golf, and a convicted murderer might be lurking around.
There was that. Jack came out to watch, and he came on the second side, the hilly side, and after having his bypass and his valve replacement, I was a little concerned about the hills. As I noticed he started going across them to the side rather than straight up and straight down.
Well, he's straight. He just had heart surgery. Give the man a break.
Yeah.
Give the man. Well, that's another. See how this works? Like at the concession cup, everybody gets sick. You remember stuff like that. You got Spider-Man messing things up. That was not your best mid-amateur.
Not my best. I ended up losing to a nice young mid-am, and I really think after watching her play, she'll win one. Jackie Rogowitz from Philly. She's a great player, plays at Yardley and Marion. Really nice young gal, and she's got the length and she's got the game, so she'll get one. All
right. I'm blaming it on Spider-Man. It just makes for a better story. Whether it's true, we're not going to let the facts get in the way of that. Can you imagine life without golf? What would your life? How important is it to you? And what would life be like without it? Do you even know?
I don't really know. I'm a competitive person. I think I went back to it after getting, being pro and getting my amateur status back because I missed just the competition. I enjoy casual golf, but it's more about the preparation for the competition itself. It's why I'm in sales. It's why I like to dabble in powerlifting. I did it for 10 years and got away from it and have gone back to it over and over again. It's just always that competition with yourself. So I think, I don't know what I would do. It would be something competitive. I'm not sure. I'd like to do a bike tour one day. I don't know. I at this point, I can't see it without.
Yeah, I knew you'd say something like that. It's almost an impossible question, but I asked it of everybody because it just, however they answer, it speaks to how much golf means to them. And I know golf means a lot to you.
It's given me so much. The game, gave me an education, a worldly education, wonderful. My family I did it with my parents. My brother and sister didn't really play that much. I met JP and we've had a wonderful life through golf. So, it's just something special in our lives. And I can't imagine it without it.
Yeah, it gives you gratitude and perspective on things, because if you subtracted that from the equation, it changes the trajectory of everything, and maybe you don't have what you have, including JP, the success you've had, the friends you've had. I mean, so much of it is shaped around golf. Final question here, Tara. If you had one tip to give to somebody that would make their game better, you've seen a lot of golf, what would it be?
I think the one tip that people have to remember, and I've said it over and over again, is people get really self-conscious when they play. It doesn't, still, if you're a plus handicap or a 40 handicap just learning, there's an element of being self-conscious. And I always tell people, just remember, you might think that other people are judging your game, but they're really concerned about their own game. So you might as well enjoy whatever you're doing, and just free it up and play. It doesn't matter, if you don't drive it good one day or you don't hit your irons good, because the person you're playing with that you think is judging your abilities, is more worried about their own abilities. And the same thing. Are they being judged? Am I performing okay? You know, what did this person think of my game? They just really care about themselves. So let it go.
Love it. And you're the first one that didn't get golf specific about technique or shots to play and everything. You talked about an attitude, and that's a great way to end. Tara, I enjoyed talking to you immensely. Usually, most of our guests, we talk for like a half hour. I kept you for like 45 minutes, but you're so good. Can you come back? I don't even think we got to half the questions that I had for you. I had a whole bunch and everything. I'm really going to remember the Rock story, and maybe we'll just do a show on the Rock, and maybe try and get him on the golf
club in the Rock stand and see what happens.
Sounds great. Tara Joy-Connelly has been our guest here on Party Time, brought to you by Party Drinks. If you're looking for a drink alternative on the golf course, try a Party. And if your dream is to live on a golf course or in a golf resort community like Lakewood National Golf Club, and soon to becoming Calusa Country Club right across the street from Lakewood National Golf Club in Sarasota, Gene Walsh and Vince Visicaro from SuncoastStreams.com have you covered. For Tara Joy-Connelly, I'm Kevin Walsh. We'll see you again next time on Party Time, My Golf Story.
You've been listening to It's Party Time, My Golf Story, brought to you by Party Drinks. Classically designed golf drinks for golfers by golfers, and the golf real estate pros Gene Walsh and Vince Visicaro. For your Southwest Florida real estate needs, check them out at SuncoastStreams.com or call 941-220-4000.
This is Vince Visicaro and Gene Walsh with the SuncoastStreams.com real estate team at Fine Properties. We've helped hundreds of families find their dream homes in golf and resort communities in Lakewood Ranch, Bradenton, Sarasota, Parrish, Venice, and the surrounding areas.
Let us be your guides to finding your dream home here as well. Learn more at SuncoastStreams.com or call us at 941-220-4000.